Adam Schefter of ESPN was really one of the first to report on the NFL draft not taking place in Las Vegas. It was scheduled to take place in just about a month, April 23rd to 25th. Obviously, a huge event. And moving the Raiders to Las Vegas, a kickoff to football coming to Las Vegas. And again, try to drum up some excitement with the Raiders coming to town. You're going to have the draft there in Las Vegas for 3 days. That has been scrapped, obviously, because of the coronavirus. And now it seems like it's going to be done via teleconference or Skype somehow. But at least Roger Goodell and the NFL is dead set on having the NFL draft starting on April 23rd like it was supposed to, despite a lot of GMs and coaches and teams expressing concern that they don't have enough time to scout players because obviously with everything going on, they can't travel, they can't go to pro days, they can't bring players into interview. So it kind of is throwing a wrench in all of the scouting for these teams, but the show must go on in Roger Goodell's mind, so that will not change. But I want to kind of talk about, because Adam Schefter had an idea yesterday on ESPN of how he would change the draft and how he would make it an event and also give teams time to kind of change their draft boards and kind of give them more time to make decisions. And that is having a 7-day NFL draft, basically 1 round a day. NFL draft is 7 rounds, spread out over 7 days, to where maybe it starts again on April 23rd, that's a Thursday, and run it through the following Wednesday and have 1 round every night for 7 straight days. And at least to me, I am personally not a huge fan of this idea. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand now you have a huge void of sports. You have all these networks that create and budget all this time to play games and have events and just give something to talk about. But at least to me, I think there is too much anticipation and too much thought that people live and die with the draft as much as they do. I understand the first round is going to be huge. And I understand there's a lot of college football fans that want to see where their favorite players go. There's a lot of NFL fans that love seeing the draft and just kind of having some sort of football back in their lives, similar to NFL free agency just happening this past week or last week. It's just an excuse to talk about the NFL. It's an excuse to kind of distract your mind off of what's going on in a time where there's not many distractions, right? But at least to me, I just don't think there's enough interest to drag this out for 7 days. I think 3 days is more than enough. And even in a time where there's not much going on, are people really going to care about the 5th round on a Monday night? I'm not. People are really going to be tuning in to see who, the 199th overall pick is on day 6 of the draft? No. So I understand in principle and idea, it's a smart idea, theoretically, drum up some more interest for over a week. But I have a tough time at least thinking that fans will be locked in on Monday on day 5, 5th round of the draft, to see who gets picked and who their team gets picked. Because odds are a lot of these players picked, fans aren't going to know who they are. They're not going to watch them. They're not going to be aware and at least familiar with their skill set. Again, outside if you're a huge college football fan and they went to university, that's a cool moment. But other than that, I don't think the ratings will be there for as much as they think they will be for having the 6th round sit on its own on a Tuesday night. I don't. Despite nothing going on, I think especially there's enough distractions with streaming services. You have Ozark coming out on Netflix that is being released tomorrow, which you're a fan of that show. Obviously, that gives you more distractions. And I understand, it's still a month away. There's still, maybe we'll get to a time where there's really nothing going on, right? At least in this time, there's enough sports news going on to keep the show going. I really, if I wanted to, maybe could have done an entire show today just dedicated to sports. There's a few sports topics I still haven't gotten to yet. So there's still enough going on. And obviously that is not going to be a guarantee come next week or 2 weeks from now, let alone maybe a month from now if we're still nowhere close to resumption of sports. Me personally, I'm not, I guess, a huge fan of the draft. I didn't watch any of the combine. I know fans do clamor, and the combine does get some pretty good ratings. He tried to move it to prime time this year to really enhance those ratings. It did not work out to the level that the NFL had hoped. And so at least to me, despite not being many distractions around right now and kind of having a chance to corner the market per se and gain a lot of ratings, I don't think that the NFL draft seven rounds over 7 days idea would still be a monster, a ratings monster that you hope. And that would be a good idea personally. There is one team that fits Cam Newton perfectly for both Cam's point of view and that team's point of view. But there's one huge exception that goes along with this team signing Cam Newton. And this team is a team that's going to a new stadium, that's looking to garner a new fan base, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers. It's still tough to say Los Angeles Chargers this day. I don't think people are ever going to get over it. And just accidentally slip up and say San Diego Chargers, but the Los Angeles Chargers. And this really comes with one exception, but also assuming, of course, that Cam's medicals check out. That is obviously the first and foremost thing you have to make sure he is healthy. He had shoulder injuries, obviously the foot last year, the Liz Frank injury kept him out of the last 14 games, and he hurt that in the preseason game against Patriots, and really those first 2 games made it tough for him to even play at his 100%. So obviously you have to assume at this point that he is medically clear to play. He is healthy, because there's no point in any team signing him if he's not healthy. Obviously, with the coronavirus going on, a little tougher to know that, but assuming you can get a doctor and get a physical and he checks out, the shoulder's healthy, the foot is healthy, and theoretically going to 2020, he will be as healthy as possibly can. The Chargers should absolutely sign Cam Newton and bring him in to be their starting quarterback. But this is the one exception. You have to draft a quarterback with the 6th overall pick that they have in this upcoming draft. Have to do it. And here's at least, I'll give you the reasons why signing Cam makes sense, and then I'll give you the reasons why they should absolutely draft a quarterback. The Chargers benefiting from signing Cam Newton. First of all, there's going to be a ton of excitement heading to a new stadium. Right now, there is no face of the Chargers. None. No excitement. They can barely sell tickets. The Rams are getting frustrated because the Chargers have 0 foothold in Los Angeles. Nor I should say a little bit, not as much as they assumed. Their fans would travel from San Diego to Los Angeles. You saw in the soccer stadium they played in, the 30,000-seat soccer stadium, no one went. Nobody. It was a road game, all 16 games. Every single road team that came in to Los Angeles, despite their fan base being small or big, dominated that stadium. When they came in there, made it loud. And there was a point where Phil Rivers said last year his team had to go on a silent count and basically act like they were playing a road game despite being home. So by signing Cam Newton, you have a big name coming to your team, and you can drum up some excitement heading into a new stadium. Right? Boom. You can make automatically, you sign him. Cam Newton is the face of your franchise. He is the face, and he is a selling point when you're trying to sell tickets and trying to have people, try to win them over compared to going to the Rams side. Not to mention, you look at this roster. The Chargers roster, I think, is still ready to win now. I think they still have a lot of good pieces. And despite going 4-12 after going 12-4 the year before that, I think they're still ready to win now. They still have Derwin James, who's great in the secondary as long as he can stay healthy. You have Nick Bosa and Melvin Ingram on the sides rushing the passer, which are still elite at their level. You have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, 2 great receivers. They addressed the offensive line, which was pretty bad last year and really did not do Phil Rivers any favors. So they traded for Trey Turner coming over from the Panthers. You signed Brian Bulaga, who's a free agent coming off the Packers. So you automatically improve your offensive line. So you strengthen a weakness. You already have some great key pieces on both offense and defense in place. They signed Chris Harris, who is a free agent coming from Denver. So you boost your secondary. So this roster, to me, is ready to win now. In an AFC that is going to be dominated and really is starting to be taken hold of by young quarterbacks with Deshaun Watson in Houston, with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, obviously Patrick Mahomes in your own division if you're a Chargers fan out there in Kansas City. To me, this roster still matches up well, and if you have a quarterback that is dynamic and healthy enough, they can elevate this team. And again, you saw 2 years ago, the Chargers were a damn good football team going 12-4. I think they can kind of channel that and still have the pieces in place on their team to get back to that level. And 2, at least signing Cam, if you're the Chargers, theoretically, and again, assuming his medicals check out, you'll be getting the healthiest Cam Newton in a few years. Obviously, 2 years ago, he had a bad shoulder injury that he played through the last 6 games of the year before he was benched the last 2. So really the last 8 games of the year, he had a shoulder injury that he could never get past. His play seriously deteriorated. And again, he was held out of those last 2 games. This year hurts his foot in the preseason, only played 2 games. So this is a guy that basically, let's say for argument's sake, missed almost the entire 2019 season. So he saved himself from a lot of hits, saved himself from a lot of exposure to getting hurt more. So theoretically, he should be fresh coming into Los Angeles. I understand, really since 2015, his MVP year, his play has gone down each year. It's regressed. And he's had a tough time just staying healthy, even when he's fully healthy. He had a tough time preventing injuries. But at least to me, basically missing, again, all but 2 games last year, he has plenty of time to have his shoulder heal, have his foot heal, and again, assuming that the doctors gave him the A-OK to play and say he's fully healthy. The Chargers will be getting someone that still has a lot of talent that should be refreshed and ready to go. Not to mention, you know how Cam Newton is. You see the outfits he wears, see the way he carries himself, even social media-wise, the way he portrays himself on social media. He fits that LA lifestyle. That's something, too. With these teams, you need players that fit the lifestyle and the culture of the city. Philly, passionate, gritty city. You need those kind of guys, and those are the kind of guys that fit in Philly, that have success, and the fans gravitate to. LA, as you can see, it's glitz, glamour, fashion, just expressing yourself in the way you dress, the way you carry yourself on social media. Cam fits perfectly in that LA lifestyle. Come right in. I think, again, he's a player that fans could gravitate towards, could be a fan of, and again, help, really drum up some excitement and be the face of your franchise going forward in Los Angeles. And finally, you have the cap space to do it. You have the money to do it. Why not? The money's there. The talent is there, assuming Cam is healthy. Absolutely do it. You have the cap space to do it. Not to mention, you have the starting job to do it. Tyrod Taylor right now is not going to put butts in seats. He's probably not going to win you many games as a quarterback for the Chargers. Why not try Cam Newton? And the reason now why I say if you sign Cam Newton, you absolutely have to draft a quarterback is because, one, it's insurance. I said Cam's, will be theoretically the healthiest he's been in a few years coming to Los Angeles. True. He's also shown even when he's healthy, he has a tough time staying healthy. He gets hurt a lot. His style of play, it was reckless in the beginning. He's kind of tamed it a little bit, but still, his style of play is keeping the ball, running, putting your shoulder down, running people over, and just being physical at the quarterback position. And we've seen that's not really equitable and not a smart long-term decision. So if you draft a young quarterback, you at least provide some sort of insurance and a capable backup. God forbid Cam Newton gets hurt at some point. Not to mention, too, if you draft a quarterback, you still can go all in on 2020. Like I said, I think the roster is still set to win now, so you can go all in, try to push your chips to the middle, try to bring Cam in, try to channel that 2015 MVP year, go for it. But not to mention, your future's still bright if it doesn't work out. If he fizzles out, if Cam Newton can't stay healthy, or he's not effective, you still have a backup plan in place to where if he struggles or gets hurt, boom, you have the future right there sitting and waiting, and you can take the driver's seat, and you hope if you're the Chargers, drive your franchise for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And not to mention, too, with the roster, I like it this year. After 2020, it's going to be interesting. You have free agents like Nick Bosa, Melvin Ingram, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, who, franchises still could work out a long-term deal for, but right now at least is on that 1-year franchise tag. They're all free agents after this year. So if you can't re-sign them or re-sign them all, the roster could look very interesting. And at least if you draft a quarterback, instead of rebuilding in 2020 where if you can't sign any of them or just 1 or 2 of them, it's not exactly a rebuild per se, but it's more of a reload. Because obviously the biggest thing we know, the hardest thing to find in the NFL is a franchise quarterback. If you draft that quarterback at number 6, a guy like Justin Herbert who you like and you really think could be the face of your franchise, you can reload in 2020 instead of rebuilding, trying to find a guy, trying to now basically scrap it all down and build it back up. You can kind of roll with it, reload, find a few pieces here and there, and just try to slowly, quickly have an accelerated rebuild, then tearing it all down and basically trying to start over from scratch. So that's what I would do. If I was the Chargers, I would absolutely sign Cam Newton. I think it works, again, assuming he's healthy. But with that said, if you draft him, absolutely number 6, you have to draft a quarterback for insurance and to still allow yourself to win now in the present, but also be successful in the future as well.